Good morning and a happy Saturday. We are waking up at 7:16 to beautiful conditions across New Orleans. Here's your view of downtown from the West Bank. Right now, temperatures remain in the 70s across most spots. We're in the upper 70s, feeling like 80s across New Orleans proper. Here's that map. You do have a couple of upper 60s on the North Shore. Near Macomb, of course, usually that state line is a little bit cooler than the rest of us. But otherwise, we continue with 70s across the North Shore in Hammond, Mandeville, and Slidell. And then we see those upper 70s to lower 80s across most South Shore locations. Here are the dew points. You see a little bit less humidity this weekend, and that's going to be our taste of fall. It's pretty much all we experience as we welcome the season officially coming up tomorrow. So, of course, want to get right into our forecast for tropical development potential. We've got a couple areas out towards the east that aren't a concern, but they have low development chances, and we'll be watching them to potentially beat out the one that you've probably been paying close attention to already, a little bit closer to the Yucatan. That being said, the next names on the list are coming up as Helene and Isaac. So, is this going to form? That's question number one. A lot of people looking at different model trends. Right now, really all the models can show us is whether or not this will actually develop. So we'll be watching for those potential details as we head later into the weekend and early next week, likely with a more definitive idea by the middle of the week. Right now, nothing has formed, so the models can't pick up on a definitive center, which makes it very tough to know any definitive impacts. Here's that name list. Again, the next ones are Helene and Isaac. So we'll be watching for the possibility of one of those systems out toward the east to develop first, and then, of course, we'll be watching for the possibility of the next as well. Here's the overall takeaway. You've got a lot of factors at play. All the timing has to come together as well. And then from there, we see the direction it could take. So we're going to have this trough. It's on the East Coast. As we go into Monday, Tuesday, and then eventually Wednesday, you're going to see the possibility of that south-southwest corner, allowing for a little bit more favorable conditions as this low pressure likely moves a little bit further northward into the Gulf of Mexico. At that point, we'll be asking a bunch of additional questions in terms of potential direction and the steering patterns, therefore timing and impacts. So a lot of things to keep in mind and to ask. Does the system enter the Gulf at all? That's step one. If so, where does it enter and when does it enter? Because that placement and the timing is going to make a big difference as to where this eventually ends up. The steering pattern that evolves is, of course, going to tell us where this lands. And you're looking at two different sets of models. The Euro showing a little bit more of a generic rainmaker, whereas the GFS takes this to a larger system. So that's what we'll be keeping an eye on. Here's the overall setup for your high forecast, which is going to be hot and quiet as we head into at least the next 4 days. So this weekend, enjoy that as it lasts. Temperatures somewhere between those low 90s and what feels a little bit warmer. Of course, everybody's so excited for the Saints game tomorrow as we are waking up in about 24 hours, welcoming fall officially. You will feel those upper 70s quickly rising into the 80s. Again, no rain chances, shouldn't need anything but the umbrella for second lining. Hopefully, out of the dome, still undefeated. We continue with those rain chances somewhere between about 20 and 30% for the end of the week right now. But again, it's all a matter of what happens in the tropics. So just remember your plans, and then always a good idea to restock on some of those necessary items, but stay tuned.